Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan Paula. My schedule got a bit screwed up this week, so I'm calling an audible and reviewing some brand new releases instead of the Action Movie Month special I had planned. Let's begin with Hail Caesar. I wouldn't call this picture an outright swing and a miss, it's more like a sacrifice fly. Released on February 5th, 2016, this period comedy film about the trials and tribulations of a classic Hollywood film studio in the 1950s was produced on a budget of $22 million. Written, produced, and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, the prolific duo have once again penned a brilliantly quirky and unique script, which the all-star cast absolutely revel in delivering. Josh Brolin stars as the studio's fixer, a man who solves problems and gets results. The 106-minute narrative follows a particularly busy day in his operation when George Clooney, playing a ditzy big-shot actor, is kidnapped by communists for a $100,000 ransom. Elsewhere, Alden Ehrenreich portrays a country western actor who is thrust into a serious drama with hilarious results.
Say your line exactly as I'm about to, just as I'm about to do.
Sure, okay.
Would that it were so simple.
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 My dear boy, why do you say that? Why do you say twere?
Well, you should say it like I said it.
Yes, but...
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple. Would that it were so simple.
Watch my mouth. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Keep your head still. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
I'm trying to say that, Mr. Lawrence.
Lawrence,
Ray Fiennes, Jonah Hill, Scarlett Johansson, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, Alison Pill, and Channing Tatum are all marvelous as colorful supporting characters, but their appearances amount to little more than an extended cameo, as none appear in more than 2 scenes. I was left wanting to see more of their performances, which would have been better suited for a serialized television show with an ensemble cast. Come to think of it, how has there never been a TV show about running a movie studio? Seems like a great idea. The PG-13 rated film features several authentic recreations of Hollywood's golden age, like Johansson's beautifully choreographed water dancing, or Tatum's song and dance number that is an outright homage to the classic Gene Kelly musicals of that era. Meanwhile, the titular film within the film is an obvious nod to the Charlton Heston masterpiece Ben-Hur, which comes with all the trappings of that historical epic. The screenplay seems poised to make some apt witticisms or satirical observations, but sadly remains steadfast to its source inspiration's seriousness. With a different treatment, Hail Caesar could have been a fantastic parody of old Hollywood, rather than a hodgepodge of weird characters and events. Things are constantly happening, and they're perfectly amusing, but there's just no tension or drama anywhere to be found. Indeed, the lack of intersection from the half-dozen moving parts leaves this film feeling extremely disconnected, without a solid through line to properly support the narrative. The careful editing allows every joke and downbeat to land with precision, however. One of the standout scenes has Brolin securing permission and feedback from a group of religious leaders over his movie's use of Jesus as a background character. The bickering and arguing, especially from Star Trek alum Robert Picardo, is especially funny. Perpetual Oscar runner-up Roger Deakins photographs these sequences with vivid detail and bright compositions, and continues to illustrate why he's my favorite cinematographer working today. Shallow and unapologetic, fans of the Coen brothers will still enjoy this picture, but they should wait for this one on home media. Hail Caesar may be sharply written and wonderfully acted, but it's ultimately pointless. I thought it was just alright. Now a quick word from tonight's sponsor. This episode of Movie Night is brought to you by VidAngel, a cool new streaming service that allows people to filter violence, language, and sex out of their movies in a completely customizable way. Available on all major platforms and devices, VidAngel allows more cautious viewers and parents to buy new releases for $20, legally filter out all mature elements, and then sell it back for $19. It's much easier than renting from Redbox, and with an effective cost of only $1, it's cheaper too. Please click the link below if you'd like to check them out. And now for a movie that would be perfect for younger comic book fans using VidAngel, my review of Deadpool. This ain't your parents' superhero movie. An impressive debut for the film's director Tim Miller, this is a truly fresh take on that tired and oversaturated genre. Released nationwide on February 12, 2016, the $58 million action comedy film broke Thursday night preview records for an R-rated movie, and boy does it earn that rating. Bloody violence, gratuitous nudity, a plethora of F-bombs, and plenty of sexual innuendo. There's at least a half-dozen masturbation jokes in this film. When Special Forces operative turned mercenary undergoes a dangerous treatment to cure his terminal cancer, he winds up horribly disfigured and imbued with accelerated healing powers. The newly formed mutant then begins killing everyone connected to the man who wronged him, in an effort to get his life back. In his 5th comic book adaptation, and 2nd as this particular character, Ryan Reynolds is outstanding as the titular hero, a crude, annoying, sex-obsessed martial artist who doesn't hesitate to decapitate his enemies and use their severed heads as projectiles. You can tell Reynolds has reverence for this project, as his treatment of the merc with the mouth is faithful and authentic. From his chiseled physique to his wisecracking sarcasm, he's a perfect fit for the iconic character. Morena Barcane, Ed Skrein, and T.J. Miller portray the love interest, villain, and ally, respectively. They're able to bring dramatic sincerity to the somewhat outlandish script, and the emotional stakes of the picture actually resonate as a result. TJ is especially great as the plucky comic relief, a role the film directly pokes fun at, but honestly the film remains hilarious throughout, regardless of his presence. The inclusion of Gina Carano, Brianna Hildebrand, and Steven Kapaskiak as mutant enemies and allies aren't given much to say or do, and their appearances are more fan service than necessity. Speaking of which, the 108-minute story is set within 20th Century Fox's X-Men universe, and features a number of references to that franchise, including a great gag where Reynolds asks if it's McCoy or Stewart currently in charge.
X gon' give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Go get some.
She gonna do a superhero landing. Wait for it. Woo! Superhero landing. Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
Totally impractical. They all do it.
You're a lovely lady, but I'm saving myself for Francis. That's why I brought him.
I prefer not to hit a woman, so please play.
Deadpool opens with a stupendous freeze frame during the middle of an explosive action sequence, with the camera floating through the suspended moment as mock credits flash on screen. Minutes later, we're witness to this insane stunt at full speed, and it's even more glorious. The choreographed violence and death is so detailed it gives the Final Destination movies a run for their money. Intercut with lengthy flashbacks providing Deadpool's origin story, this centerpiece highway chase and shootout is humorously summarized by Reynolds, who remarks, "Today was about as much fun as a sandpaper dildo." Brisk pacing and comfortably wide framing lets this chaotic and frenzied picture really breathe and progress without contrivances. The visual effects are integrated seamlessly with practical stunts and takedowns. Meanwhile, Tom Holkenborg, aka Junkie XL, provides a gritty and urban score that blends well with plenty of appropriate but sometimes ironic pop music samples. With lots of fourth wall breaking that makes sure the audience is in on the joke, this movie's few flaws are effectively turned into strengths, and the unique structure actually works great. Although it's definitely not a movie for younger viewers, all adult Marvel fans should adore the memorable lead, graphic violence, and mature humor. Deadpool is an ambitious and sarcastic adventure worth seeing more than once, and earns its position among the best in the superhero genre. I thought it was awesome. Finally tonight, let's take a look at Zoolander 2. There comes a point for potential sequels where long-awaited eventually becomes mostly forgotten. Ben Stiller returns as writer, director, and star in this follow-up, which opened nationwide on February 12, 2016, nearly 15 years after its predecessor. With a weak debut and strong competition, it's not likely this goofy comedy will recoup its $50 million budget. But lest we forget, the first film wasn't much of a box office success either, achieving its cult status and perpetual internet memedom years later. The PG-13 rated story follows the title character's re-entrance into the world of fashion as he tries to rescue his son from an Italian boarding school. Most of our favorite characters are back. Stiller hasn't missed a beat and remains just as aloof and dumbfounded as always. Owen Wilson and Will Ferrell similarly slip back into their old characters effortlessly, and this core trio of returning players deliver the bulk of the picture's most effective lines. When Ferrell attempts to escape prison with his self-described perfectly lifelike masks that he's produced, the reveal of these horribly poor-looking creations is a fantastic moment. The exquisitely gorgeous Penelope Cruz is included mostly as eye candy, and it's a role that she fills out rather nicely. SNL cast members Christian Wiig, Fred Armisen, and Kyle Mooney also do great work with their quirky characters. Wiig is a fashion icon with too much Botox, Armisen is a weird little butler child, and Mooney is a chatty clothing designer. We haven't seen much of Stiller's real-life spouse Christine Taylor outside of his occasional Red Hour productions in the intervening years, but it's great to see her return in a small part here, still looking as beautiful as ever.
You still got it, D-Zone. You're Derek Zoolander. You stopped a Chinese throwing star in midair with a look. I was there. That's not me anymore. Yes, it is. Hey, flash me that beautiful look. Give me that incredible Magnum.
No.
Think fast, Magnum.
Wait, no.
Magnum, now! Oh! Come on! You got this, but you gotta focus. Oh! Come on!
Hansel, stop!
You got this! Oh! Yeah!
Maybe we could try a washcloth.
Much like the original, Zoolander 2 contains a constant stream of famous cameos. Kiefer Sutherland portraying himself as an emotional orgy participant is particularly great, but it's Neil deGrasse Tyson in full Cosmos mode that got me to laugh the hardest. A host of other celebrities including Katy Perry, Sting, Justin Bieber, Susan Sarandon, and of course Billy Zane also make fun appearances. I spent a lot of time describing this film's cast because unfortunately that's really all it has going for it. The 102-minute script is generally void of purpose or reason. Things happen in this movie only to set up a joke, or because something similar happened in part 1. Filming on location in Rome provides for some nice scenery, especially in a hilarious driving montage set to Wham's Wake Me Up. Make no mistake though, this movie is very stupid and immature. But then again, so is the original. While 15 years seems like a period of time when everyone should have left well enough alone, this unneeded follow-up honestly isn't that disappointing. If you enjoyed the goofy gags and fun irreverence of the first picture, you should feel right at home with Zoolander 2. Unnecessary and often aimless, Stiller and friends still managed to deliver a fun time. I thought it was alright. Unfortunately, that does it for tonight's episode, but I'll be back next week with my planned special on James Bond films. And if you click this information icon, some related videos will slide out for you to watch. Once again, my name is Jonathan Paula, thanks for watching, and have a good movie night.